everybody? Welcome back to Dustin's Vinyl. I know you guys missed us. It's great to be back talking records because that's what gets us through all the chaos in the world, is finding yourself looking for records in a bin, in a record shop, and just looking online for new music. And, you know, music is really what keeps us sane. Like, speaking for myself, at least, if I didn't have music, I don't know what I would do. I would have jumped off a cliff years ago. But it's been cool doing this show. Been having a lot of fun. And we're going to pull the random pull today, which is always exciting. You never know what we're going to get. We're a little... nobody really knows. Is this rigged? We don't know. But, oh, wow. This is a rare one. I guarantee you none of you have this one. Let's see. Let's pull it out of this. Let's see. Yes, this is the Chris Taitley. I think it's Taitley album. And before there was podcast, there was a guy, let's see. It's a picture disc. And this is the Ozzy Osbourne interview. And Chris Taitley, DJ, he was road manager for Ozzy and Black Sabbath, and he was also a big DJ in England. And he would do these amazing interviews with all these rock guys, like everybody. This one's Ozzy, is at Bon Jovi, Europe, Meatloaf, Led Zeppelin, ZZ Top, Dio, AC/DC, Manowar, Whitesnake, everybody. And these just really cool interviews, man. And there's no music on it. It's just straight interviews. And this is like the 70s. So this was the podcast of music. This was our show in the 70s. It was like talking music, with people. And it's a really cool listen if you get a chance. If you see any of these, you can pick them up. Sometimes you'll see them at a flea market and stuff. It's very rare that you find these. But, it's like side one was really cool. I was listening to it and about 2 weeks ago. And, it has Ozzy telling him these crazy stories. He's one story where he was at a gig, and then he was in a hotel the night before the gig, and there was like a stray dog, and he's got a heart for dogs. And so he tried to take this stray dog into his hotel room, and they were like, what are you talking about? You can't, this is a fancy hotel. And he's like, I'm paying, $200,000 or whatever. And I'm bringing a dog in. It was like this whole thing. And then he's sitting at a table with this stray dog. And then the chef comes out and gives the dog a steak. And then the guy asks him, how does the dog want the steak cooked? It's this really hilarious story. So it's like, if you get a chance, Crazy Chris Taitley, I don't know if I'm saying it right, Taitley, very cool dude. It's interviewed everybody. And before there was Howard Stern and people like that, this guy was the guy that was interviewing these rock gods and really just kind of humanizing them and making, telling stories and just kind of all the stuff. And the fact that he was a tour manager for Joe Cocker as well, and Ozzy with Sabbath, and then Ozzy on his solo stuff. He just has an insight that's just so freaking cool, and he connects to these artists and stuff. So this is my random pull of the day, and it's a really cool picture disc. I'm a big fan of the picture disc. It always makes me excited. But so yeah, some of these are hard to find online. Like, I couldn't find a lot of these interviews online. So you might actually have to buy the vinyl, which I always love it when people can't get something on digital and they're forced to go to the record store and buy something on vinyl. So if you get a chance, these Chris Taitley interviews are amazing. Everybody you can think of, from Led Zeppelin to Metallica to Meatloaf, he's interviewed them all. And this was a really fun one. And he also talks about the transition on this album from, Randy Rhoads, right after he died and everything, and the tribute album that came on later. And there was like a whole thing. He didn't want to disrespect and with the family. And it's just a really heartwarming, amazing stuff, because Ozzy's just an amazing person. And so he just brings these cool stories out of these musicians. So that is the pull of the day. So if you get a chance, check that out. It's a really rare, weird thing to kind of try to seek out. So if you can find any of those, you're really going to enjoy it. So that's some random pull of the day. Hope you enjoyed that. And so we're going to start the rest of the show with the exciting part of the show. We bringing in a ringer. He's also toured with many bands and done a lot of cool stuff in the music industry. One of my favorite people, one of the funniest people around, ladies and gentlemen, Jeffrey Paul.
Yeah. Hey, thank you, man.
Hey.
What year is that disc?
This one is 77. Let's see. Is it 78 maybe? Let's see. Yeah. 80. No, I can't never tell with these things because they distribute it in like '87, but the actual interview was probably like right after Randy Rhoads died. So whenever that was.
So that would be late 70s because I'm trying to think. Because 80, Sabbath came out with Heaven and Hell with Dio. So he's already left the band. Yeah. The great thing about everything that you're pulling is this is from your own personal record collection.
Yes.
And a lot of what you have is like you got it years ago. So you've probably got like a lot of real good first editions there. And that kind of stuff, like something like that is going to be extremely hard to find. I bet that has a pretty good price tag connected to it.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, the picture disc and all that. And it's like they didn't make a lot of these.
Get yourself a better computer.
I give a great computer. My computer falls off the table, and he's gonna fucking mock me for that.
Maybe you can get a better table.
You know what? It's like we're all doing our best. Look at you. Look, don't make this a roast battle because this looks way better than you and your little closet over there. Don't be mocking sets and computer devices.
Listen, you're already in my head about the background. Starting next week, this is going to change.
With your Radio Shack. All right. So we don't do that kind of show. We don't razz on this show. We just unify through music, baby, through music.
Man.
All right. So what you got? What's the feature record of the week?
Yeah, so the feature record today, man, I'm happy about this one because you know what? We've talked about some older stuff, and I'm excited to be talking about some new music. And This is we're going to talk about the Struts. The Struts' second album called Young and Dangerous, which there we go, which came out in October of 2018. So this album is barely 2 years. And show that again, Dustin.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. On the cover, that's the lead singer. That's Luke Spiller. And if you look at him and see the way he performs, this guy's a mixture of Mick Jagger, Freddie Mercury, like right there. He looks like that back cover. He looks like Freddie Mercury. He looks like if Mick Jagger and Freddie Mercury kind of came together and they came in Joan Jett, and this is what they produced. You don't see it?
I see it. I just never heard that phrasing ever.
Well, that's what happens when you watch this show. You get phrasing.
It's not a family show. We let's make sure people don't put your kids on this. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's Luke Spiller, and I also think the guy who Luke is so over the top, and that's who he is. He is an over the top. He is Mick Jagger with his dances, and Adam and I were talking before his phrasing of songs. He's an over the top guy, but the guy who doesn't get enough credit sometimes in the Struts is Adam Slack, the guitar player, because he keeps that music beat going. Before we get into the tracks, just a couple of general things about the album. It's catchy. If there's one word to describe it, it is catchy. 4 minutes songs. Also, no fluff on this album. You can go.
There's a little bit of fluff.
Top to bottom. Okay, really? Well, I want to hear what you
quite a bit of
think
fluff.
Fluff. Yeah. Because I think this is a great collection of rock pop hits.
I didn't say it wasn't great. I just said there's a little fluff on there.
Okay. I guess another thing to describe them and this album as well is unapologetic. I think he kind of like demonstrates that in the first song right off the bat. And overall, this is old school glam meets great over the top choruses. That's the way I kind of start. I think about the album holistically. Now let's get into some tracks.
Sure.
The opening track, Body Talk. Okay, Body Talks. This is, interestingly enough, this also closes the album, with a duet with Kesha, which I think both versions are great. I like that little riff before the song starts to explode, and you could definitely see this as a great, great live song. Thoughts? Did you like it?
Yeah, sorry. I was caught up in how much you like this album. There's two ways I can go with this album. there's with this band, because I wasn't familiar with them, which I love, because I love seeking out new music and finding people that I haven't really, heard of. And there's two ways I can look at this album, this band. One way, looking at it, be like, oh wow, okay, this is the biggest hack I've ever seen in my life. I can't believe this first song sounds like Tattoo You. This first song sounds like this. Queen is rolling over in their grave. Like, it's easy for you to go down that road. It is. But I went the other way, which was, what a beautiful celebration of all this great music that has come before this band. And they've taken kind of a piece from this band and their own, kind of variations on it. And it's really, really, really good from top to bottom. It's one of those albums. My girlfriend came in, she was like, what is this? This is great. So it's like, it's definitely one of those catchy is fantastic. Every song kind of hooks you in. The first song is great, but it does have, it definitely has a strong feel of a lot of bands. And so it just really depends what kind of, some people aren't into that, and some people kind of are purist of whatnot. I remember there's certain bands, that I've heard in the past. I'm like, it sounds too much like. I remember when Whitesnake came out, and it was like everybody was just like, oh my gosh, this is a Led Zeppelin, da da da. But then the more you got into Zeppelin, into Whitesnake, you realize they kind of had their own sound, and you were able to kind of like, even though there was some remnants of that band, you were able to appreciate what they do. And so I enjoyed this album a lot. And when I say fluff, you got Kesha on here. This is not Motorhead. So it's like, it's a different, it's very poppy. And I feel like I've gotten a little past pop, and so it was nice to feel it again. It reminded me of kind of being a kid. This reminded me of something I would listen to in, high school or something. Like, it just has a nice sound to it. Great pipes on this guy. And I was also very impressed with the musical, numbers and the solos, and these guys can play. I did a little reading up. They opened for the Stones. That makes total sense. And it's a good band. This is a great album. And you were totally right. From top to bottom, I feel like there's not a bad song on here. I enjoyed it. It just reminded me of, and it's so nice to see like a young band that's playing instruments. A lot of kids go into electronic music and hip hop and things, and I love all that stuff. But I, we're partial to the guitar and the drum and the thing and the traditional bands. And so, these guys are doing that. And it's almost impossible not to kind of have a remnants of somebody else, because it's all been done. So, but these guys do a good job of really kind of bringing that back, and there's also some glam. They even remind me a little bit of a Cinderella. Like, there's a little bit of that kind of, there's one song in particular, I forget what it was, but it was just like, the beginning of it kind of has that feel, which I love Cinderella. And it just has a little bit of glam rock of the 80s.
A little bit?
Yeah. No, well, it has a lot of Queen, and it has a lot of Rolling Stones, and then it has a lot of glam rock as well. When I say glam, there's a gamut on that. Like, it's a huge spectrum of that. And when I say glam, I mean more hair metal. How about that? That's what I meant. It's a little bit of hair metal, a little bit of 70s.
I think you're right with the glam rock. I definitely see a lot of glam rock. I think even in him, I see a lot of T-Rex in there.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's everything that is good about music is in this album. And, it's really a fun album. And it's like, it's one of those you put on if you're in a good mood. And it's nice. I definitely want to seek out. I listened to a little more stuff from them, and it was great. It kept getting better and better. Good stuff.
It's funny that you mentioned the Stones, because it takes us to the second track, Prima Donna Like Me, which the beginning of it sounds a lot like Honky Tonk Woman, with the very beginning. If you remember, it has that cowbell at the beginning and that short, like how dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
It almost has that riff to it, and then it goes into its own thing. And again, catchy pop. I love it. I think a lot of bands are influenced and kind of like almost pay tribute to people who they kind of like came up with. Like, when you look at Lady Gaga, Born This Way is really Madonna.
It is.
Was that Protect Yourself, whatever that song is.
Yeah, I think these guys are a little more open about it. I don't think there's any. I mean, even just the artwork is airbrushed. Like they're almost paying a homage, to the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, and I'm okay with it. Like I said, I just, it depends what critical brain I'm in, and sometimes, I just expect everything to be original and different and whatever. Like, there's a band there like the Rival Sons, and they have kind of a Zeppelin sound, and people. So there's new bands that I, attach to, and then they kind of sound like somebody else. That's why I kind of like them, I guess. But I wasn't trying to be hard on the band. I just felt like, I could see both sides is all I'm saying. But and I chose the other side, which enjoys, what they're doing, and I think they're very talented.
Yeah, I think so too. If you we're just going down the tracks, and let's go to the third one, and that's I'm in love with the camera. In love with the camera. It's to me that it also sounds like glam rock. And it reminds me of a band that paid tribute to glam rock. It reminds me so much of The Darkness. Remember that band, The Darkness?
Yes.
I remember that song, I Believe in a Thing Called Love.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me so much of as well. But the thing is, if you don't like a song on, I'm not saying you, but I'm saying if anyway, if you listen to this, you're like, this isn't really for me. I don't like this song. The songs are short. There's nothing that exceeds like a little over 4 minutes. They're basically 3-4 minute songs. And then
it's very tight.
Very tight. And Adam used a good where we were talking about this before.
Bring him in.
Yeah, they're very, very polished.
Adam, come in here.
Right?
Talk to us. Adam. There he
comes.
Guy. Yeah.
He looks like a Viking today.
We got some youth in here. All right, go ahead. What do you got?
Right? Did you think they were very polished?
Yeah, I thought they were very polished. They were. I was hoping they'd be, especially for the type of music they're playing, that they'd be a little bit raw.
Do you remember there was a band called Primal Scream? Also that high over the top energy type of rock. That is what they are. But the word that they're not is they're not raw.
Right.
They don't sound like a bar band. Like you could hear like Van Halen in their first 2 albums, and you can still hear that bar band sound.
Yeah.
You do not get this from these guys.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like when Buck Cherry came out, like they were kind of like this, similar to this, where they were just, a band that kind of was a tribute to kind of music before them, but they were pretty raw.
They're more raw. That's definitely.
Yeah. But they were similar in a lot of ways. This also reminds me, the fact that all the songs are great, and we'll talk about, I think you guys are discussing maybe why they didn't pop like they did, and maybe they are popping. I don't know.
Not like they should.
I think it's probably with COVID. I mean, I don't know. Nobody can go live anymore, but they were opening, I believe, for the Rolling Stones and whatnot. But it reminds me of kind of the Cars' first album, because if you listen to that album, it's like there's not a bad song on that one. I mean, that song is like, I think they were saying that they should have called it the greatest hits, because I mean, it's like every single song is great, and it's like. And it's produced. This is produced so well.
1978. So many great albums came out in 78.
Yeah, and this is like, it reminds. I mean, I don't know who produced this, but it feels like they've done something.
There's multiple producers.
Okay,
that way they get different sounds.
Okay, is that like produced each song separately, kind of thing? Or
no, I would say like a producer may have done 3-4 songs. I think there's 3 producers on it. And when you listen to the songs, like for instance, let's take the 4th song. This is a slower tempo song when you talk about Bulletproof Baby. Okay. Yeah. It slows you down and lets you catch your breath a little bit. It actually reminds me of a more modern band. Do you remember that band Fun?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. That's what this kind of reminded me of. It had a more modern sound, like a more original sound for them before they go back into a complete almost. This is the Lady Gaga Madonna version of this song. Do you remember the 5th song on the track? It's going to the bathroom. Did I offend? What's he doing? Oh, here he comes. What'd you get? Like a sitting donut? Yeah.
You just keep talking, bro. Come on. You don't pay attention to me.
This.
You keep talking to him. It's you got a co-host. It's a co-host right there. I was getting notes. I made notes this time, so I wanted I wanted to follow with you. That's all.
Okay. Yeah. So if you listen to the fifth song, "Who Am I?" "Who Am I" is fucking. It is Rod Stewart's "Do You Think I'm Sexy." It is that's the first thing you hear that when you hear those hoo-hoos and that disco, like, the cymbals, the hi-hat, that's what it reminds me of. A complete disco beat. You can see if they were going to make a 12-inch dance remake of any song on this album, this would be the song that they're doing a 12-inch remake on.
Yeah, one thing, absolutely. That's a good song. And there's some dance songs in here too. It's like, and some rock bands, can kind of fuse, and believe it or not, I believe AC/DC is a good dance rock band. Like, even though, people might argue me on that, but you go to a show, everybody's dancing to "You Shook Me All Night Long." And
would you dance to that at a wedding?
Of course. I always dance at a wedding. You got to drag me off the dance floor. That's how you get laid. Dance. Be the guy that dances. That's how you get laid at a wedding. The guys who don't get laid are the guys that are too cool to dance to AC/DC. Those are the guys that don't get laid. Kidding me?
It's time for the rock set. AC/DC. Took You All Night Long, followed by Paradise City.
First, another song you could probably dance to, but definitely "You Shook Me All Night Long." Because, first of all, bluesy music is danceable, and it has and AC/DC's heavy blues, and as long as there's a little bit of soul and beat to it, then you can dance to it. Come on, I don't know why we're having this conversation, but there was some good dancey rock. And that's an old genre, and that's a genre unto itself. I think Maroon 5 is like that. There's some bands where, it's dance rock, and this is a lot of dance rock. There's some songs not so much, but I think there's definitely, I don't know.
There was a quote comparing the Struts to a hair metal Maroon 5, and that was off of this album.
See, I know some things, Jeff.
Yeah, but they're not metal. They're not metal.
Right.
They're not metal at all.
They try to be a little bit. They do some good. Okay. Let me tell you something, Jeff. If anybody does a guitar solo, it's attempt at metal. It's an attempt at metal. You don't. Chicago's not doing a guitar solo. I'm just saying it's an attempt at metal.
Chicago doesn't do a guitar solo.
Well, I guess they do.
25-6-2-4 has the most memorable.
All right. Air Supply, is that better?
Yes.
Air Supply's not doing a guitar solo. So, I'm just saying that, there's some rock and stuff in there. I don't know if it's metal, but what is metal? Some would say Poison's not metal, and some say it's not metal. Some would say it is. Some say it's rock.
They're wrong.
Okay, well, all right.
I'm right, and they're wrong.
Okay, is Guns N' Roses metal?
No, they're rock and roll. The hard rock.
I don't think they're rock and roll. I don't think they're hard rock. I don't think they're hard rock. Are they hard rock? What's hard rock? Is Metallica hard rock?
No, they're metal.
Okay.
Because
they played with an orchestra, and I think that disqualifies them.
No, I think that makes them work out of that box. Because if you listen to Metallica, they're playing everything at 8/8 speed.
Jesus. It was what?
Okay. They're playing everything fast at 8/8 speed.
Okay, so it's all about the speed.
That's what I think.
Okay, yeah. No. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just curious how you view what rock. Okay, all right, hard rock.
Would you say Zeppelin is metal, or would you say Zeppelin's hard rock with a blues influence?
Yeah, obviously it's that. You know that's why you said that. I read Rolling Stone too. I know that phrase, but I mean. No, but I wouldn't. I don't know. I would say Guns N' Roses is pop rock. Motorhead is hard rock.
That's hard rock.
So I mean, who knows? Who cares about labels? Who cares about labels? It doesn't really matter. It's just 100%. Like this band is playing some music. Let me. You talked about, what did you talk about? You said, buddy. What song are we on now? Who am I?
Track 5. Who am I? Wait.
Yep. Okay. I think that's the one I didn't have a thing for. There's one thing I feel there's a youth cry about this band. And when I say youth cry, remember that Kim Wilde song where it's like a youthful, like it just has a cry for youth. And I think that's what made the Ramones popular. That's what made certain bands, which just, whatever, I don't know, like, what the youth is excited about. I feel like, this band is kind of, bringing it to their songs. And I think that's why a lot of their songs about love and, whatever. And I feel like, I don't know, it just has kind of a youthfulness to it that is exciting. It just reminds me, it makes me feel young when I listen to it.
Yeah. Because it's fresh. It's a fresh take on, well,
it's a vintage take, but it feels fresh.
Right. Like the sixth song, People, also another, like a little slower, song, but
that's a good song.
Yeah, but tell me it didn't remind you of Champagne Supernova by Oasis.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to check mark, who these songs sound like, but yeah.
Right.
I could see that for sure.
Except for my favorite song on the album, which is the seventh song, which was Fire. I love Fire. I think it's had a great big British type of sing along and a chorus, and to me, this was a great arena rock tune.
Yeah, his vocals are amazing on that. They hit really high notes on that. So yeah, it's a really, really good song.
But he's also like it's high energy. It's just like right from the beginning to the chorus to the, and again, quick, and you don't want the song to end. And then they do something interesting. They slow it down with the slowest song on the album, and probably the most vulnerable song on the album, where he's singing about himself, and it's somebody new. And
that reminded me of Cinderella.
See, that reminded me of do you remember the band Jet?
They had vaguely, yeah.
Okay, and they had a couple of hits. The hit that it reminded me of, that song, "Look What You've Done," and I wish we could play it side by side because it sounds a lot like it. That very, very pretty piano medley. And then the ninth song off the album was Tatler Magazine, and to me, that was totally influenced by Queen. I can see that coming off a Day at the Races. That's what that kind of reminded me of. And like, we're naming so many different bands in here that they kind of sound like, but that's what this band is. And the thing I like about them is, you mentioned Rival Sons, and I think of Rival Sons, I think of the Struts, I think of Greta Van Fleet, and I think of Ghost as the four bands that one of these bands should be able to break through and start to bring rock back. Well, you'll see them like on Saturday Night Live, and you'll see them like on all the shows, and they should be performing at the Grammys, and instead of these Johnny Come Lately type of acts. And I think one of these bands is going to wind up being the mainstay arena type band.
Maybe not. The only reason I would question that is, first of all, the Strokes too. I just wanted to throw that in there. They definitely have a strong Strokes vibe. And I think I listened to you guys a little bit before the show started, and you were talking about timing. And I think that's everything with art. I feel like this band kind of, think about it. If they came out right when the Strokes came out, I'm sure, the Hives and stuff, I feel like they would have gotten that attention those bands got. And I feel like it's all about timing. I felt like I look back at my comedy. It's like, oh man, if I started comedy when Dice started, I'd probably be, it's like you think about, because I'm edgy or whatever. So you think about like, oh, that would be a perfect time for that kind of comedy. And I think with this band, I mean, you could just tell they have an old soul. They're just, the very 80s rock and all that stuff. And so it's just like timing is what makes the band popular. And then I don't know, I've gone to electronic shows and stuff, and it doesn't look like these kids want rock and roll. They really don't give a shit about rock and roll. Like, I know, Jeff, we bleed for it. And Adam, you got an old soul about it. But there's certain, you go to these electronic shows, and there's a guy, I went to one, I don't remember who it was, and they were gigantic, but one of the top 5 guys. And it was just like, literally pushed a button on his Mac, and that was it. And that was their instrument. And everybody was going,
Guetta?
I'll get the band. But it was like that. It was like, I mean, they just, and he was kind of emceeing on the mic a little bit. And the worst part was they had a feature And the feature was a recorded artist. So it was like even their feature, singer or whatever was on record. So they didn't even have a live person doing the actual singing when there was actual singing. So it was like the whole thing. But all I'm saying is, it's like, I don't know. It's hard to get people into something if the generation is going a different way. And I think this band is definitely trying to hold on to something. But I can see a lot of kids not liking this band because it sounds like their parents' bands that they like. Yeah. So I could see I think that's what hurts these bands that are rock and roll. They sound like something my dad would listen to. And even though they're in their 20s or whatever, you know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah, it's weird.
That's a very good point. Kids don't, no one wants to sound like their parents' music.
Yeah,
that's true. But yeah. I also think that there is kind of like a rock revival. And I think things like, especially with younger kids, because the show Cobra Kai is massive on Netflix, and the soundtrack of it is all older stuff. And like my son and his friends, and they're all in college, they're all like 19 years old, and they love that stuff.
Yeah, and that is what happens. Like, kids are so stupid. And not your kid, but kids are so impressionable. Like, Fleetwood Mac is making a comeback because a guy did a video on TikTok on a skateboard and drinking great cranberry juice. So it's like, and I was looking on the top 10 albums, and it's like, that's what's so ridiculous. Because sometimes I'll see a band and I'll be like, they'll do a commercial and it drives me crazy. I'll be like, are you kidding me? Elton John, you sold your song. And then the next thing you know, Elton John will be bigger than ever because they're selling toothpaste or whatever. And, the kids will hear the song, and then, they'll get into the actual music, even though it's on a stupid commercial. But that always drives me crazy. And then the song will actually be popular again. So they're not really selling out because they actually get a new fan base. Because then they get people that listen to the commercial. Oh, that car commercial song is great. I love it.
I don't think rock is dead. I think it's far from it. I think right now
it's on a ventilator. I think it's on a ventilator.
I think it's no, it's not. I don't think it's on that. I think you still got the look at like some of the biggest tours that were out before COVID. You still had you had the stadium tour that was going to be
because of us. Because of us.
But also, like, just like the other night, Saturday Night Live, who was the rock band? Foo Fighters.
Yeah, but the kids didn't pick that. Lauren Michaels is old too. If the kids could have picked it, it would have been Harry Styles.
Well, listen, he's good, and
he's talented.
He's pretty good. And he kind of he kind of hooked up with Stevie Nicks musically. At Stevie Nicks' induction, they did "Stop Dragging My Heart Around" together, which was a great. Yeah, that was really good.
I mean, there's hope, and I'm not trying to generalize music fans. I mean, anytime a kid says I like Fish or something, I'm like, okay, at least you get an idea of what music can be. And so but there's those Fish kids, and then there's that poppy crap, So you just you don't know what you're gonna get.
Modern day roll. Who are they? They're like the what's that fucking
Grateful
band?
Dead.
They're like the Grateful Dead. Yeah. Oh man, I worked a weekend with Fish, and I hated them. I hate them. I hated them. I hated their fans.
Really? I think they're pretty good. I'm more of a Tool guy. Adam, really? you seem like you like Tool, right, Adam?
Yeah, Tool's great.
Yeah. And have you gone to Fish concerts? I've never really gone.
Yeah,
you're into it. Okay.
Yeah, in the right around the mid to late 90s, I went to a few, camped out at a few, and
nice.
It was a good time. I never really got into their studio stuff, but I mean, they played a hell of a live show, though.
Yeah, and I appreciate a band that plays, 3 songs at a concert. You know what I mean? Like, it's the longest. They're just playing like 40 minutes. They're on the same song. I mean, I'm older, but mine is Allman Brothers. They're kind of like the original Fish kind of thing, where they just played these jam songs, and it's so I get the appeal. I'm not a huge Fish guy, but I get the appeal, and I appreciate at least the kids are into something with a guitar. So I'm always pro anybody with a guitar. I've never, as long as it's that vibe, I'm into it.
Yeah, the first show I went to, Ken Kesey and the Merry Pranksters were there. So this was, I think, up in Darien Lake in, I think it was 97.
Okay.
And so they have Ken Kesey come onto the stage, and the whole time he's just saying the word bozo into the microphone. As there's a giant clown running around the stage.
That's what we call good drugs. That's
right.
That's why magic mushrooms are legal in
Right.
Seattle. Because of moments like that, that's when you need the good drugs. And that'd be interesting too. Jeff, I think we're going to do, and Adam, we should all do a show called The Best Weed Bands. And then we'll just that'll be a fun show. We'll probably do it on 420, but we'll do all weed bands. Yeah. They get ahead. If they get ahead. Yeah.
But Fish is I was just arguing with a guy last week. Like, that's his favorite band. And I refuse to accept that could be someone's favorite band. Music is weird. It's like, it's subjective. I know you hate statements like that.
I do hate. There's a lot of statements I hate. I hate the phrase underrated. I always hate that phrase. When somebody says underrated, like, is this band underrated? I bet they have 3 houses each. They're doing fine. I mean, as long as you got a fan base, you're doing well. But
listen, we'd all love to be any of these bands that we're talking about. We'd love to be in any of them. But I mean, I just listen. I get different strokes for different folks.
You're a purist. I know you're a purist. You have your way of, it's fine.
Yeah,
but it's art. So
Also, when I was working with them, it was a summertime. Was also upstate. I thought it may have been the same gig, but
take me back a little bit. Take me back to you actually working for these people, because that's very interesting. Like, what did you do? Security, or what were you doing?
Well, we all did. It was always production, and production incorporated a lot of things into the show. It's the actually putting together of the show. All the things that you would never even dream about thinking is what we did. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. In 2002, I was on the road with Journey, Ted Nugent, and Billy Idol, and these bands would come on and off, and other bands would pop on, but Journey was the primary headliner. And I remember we were in Atlanta Motor Speedway, and it was sponsored by Harley Davidson as part of their 100-year anniversary. So now you got to be and it's 2002, so it's right after 9/11. So you're working. We're going to have a gathering over 50,000, 60,000 people. You got to work with the federal government. Evacuation plans, parking. If something was to go down, what happens? I don't know if you realize, but there's also an eye in the sky during something like that to spot anything going wrong. So during the show, I would be like in a golf cart, so I can get to wherever I had to get to quicker. And it depends on the budgets on some of these shows. I worked some reggae shows, Yankee Bean and Yankee Dad. They all have Yankee in the name. Okay, and these were guys who didn't know how to fucking run a show. Okay, here I'm going to make you proud of me. This is a 100% true story. So the show was over at Randall's Island, and they don't have a huge advance sale, but the walk up is tremendous. It's tremendous. It's all like Caribbean music, Caribbean reggae, and that the tickets is all cash, and they're taking the money and they're putting it in burlap bags. And me and this other guy are in this production trailer, and they're like, "Can you keep an eye on the money? We haven't counted it yet." And it's only me and this other guy. Do you know how easy it would have been for me to go in there, take a fistful of money, stick it in my pocket, and no one would have been the wiser? But I just wouldn't do it. It's not life changing. It's something I wouldn't do, But I mean, so it depends on the show that you're at. But you also have to worry about time of shows, because certain cities you're dealing with unions, and union fees go astronomical if you go past like 2 minutes or 5. Usually I'll give you a 5-minute grace, and then that's it. It becomes like this crazy number.
In New York, I think it's 11 o'clock, right? Like, you can't go past 11
In New York, it's 11 o'clock. And that's why sometimes you'll see bands opt to play New Jersey as opposed, or out on the island, Long Island, as opposed to playing in New York. It's always sad when you're in a show in New York and the band's just crushing it, and you could tell they want to do 4 more encores, and they're like, "Sorry, we got to go. we can't afford this extra encore." So, that's exactly it.
They take off. But that's cool. I mean, it's interesting that you go to shows and it's like, in order to have the full experience, you need guys that were doing the things that you were doing and everything. And that's what I like about that scene in Rocket Man, where he's like, he's talking to his manager, and his manager's basically like, "Yeah, you get to just run around and do everything else I'm doing. Like, I'm making all the contracts, I'm making everything happen." And that's the thing. It's like there's a lot of men and women behind all this these great rock shows, you know.
There's the
Very
traveling crew, there's the local crew. We would, you know, then like we would hire, like since we were on the traveling crew, we would hire the local security. And you got to kind of sometimes keep an eye on these guys because sometimes those guys could be a little sketchy. You don't know who's really working. They're getting access to some very, you know, private and personal things. So there's always got to be someone around, even just as a deterrent. There always has to be someone from the traveling crew around. Oh my God, man!
Very cool.
There's just so many things that go into it. What if someone gets hurt? Hiring nurses and on the scene, and you know, it's like this. The band doesn't worry about that, and neither does the venue. Okay, so but contractually, these things have to be on site. So these are the things that we came in and did.
Great, man. That's very cool. All right, the man behind the scenes of rock and roll, Jeffrey Paul. So everybody, get you some Struts. I'm converted. I'm definitely, you know, I watched a little bit of Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I don't know if the 2020 version. Did you see that yet? It's pretty good. You know, a lot of it was, you know, Zoom and things like that because nobody could have an actual ceremony with an audience. But they did a good job. And Depeche Mode was inducted.
Did they perform?
And I didn't see that part yet. I got up to Nine Inch Nails, and then I got to finish. No. But it was cool. I don't know all these answers, but I watched.
I'm gonna watch
all these answers.
Oh, no, 9 Inch Nails.
I got about 20 minutes left. I got to watch it. I'm assuming. I don't know how they're doing it. I think what they did was. The first three that I saw, it was the Doobie Brothers, and then they did Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails and all that stuff. And they were just kind of doing kind of bio documentary stuff on kind of how they made the music. And then at the end, the artist would accept it. So Trent Reznor, who I just freaking love. I love everything about that guy. And his, you know, just what he's done for music. So, yeah, maybe we could cover some Nine Inch Nails maybe next week or something. I don't know. But,
next week I got a surprise for you on that one. We're completely different.
All right.
Different guy. But speaking of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
all right.
Yeah, I love the performances. I remember last year the Cure got in.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah.
And they opened up with such an obscure Cure song. They opened up with Shake Dog Shake, which is such a great song about addiction. It's such a cool song, and Robert Smith hasn't lost a mile off his fastball. He's so good. That's why, like if you're 9 Inch Nails, Dustin, Adam,
yes,
and you have to pick 2 or 3 songs that you're going to perform out of your catalog, what are you doing?
I mean, Head Like a Hole is it's the mantra of any guy that's ever lost a woman.
Ultimate industrial song, right?
Yeah, the album somewhere. I don't know. That's the first one for me. And then what about you, Adam?
I would go with Wish. And
that's a great song. Yeah.
March of the Pigs.
That's another great one too. What do you got there?
Yeah, I love Terrible Lie. That's
Terrible.
Terrible Lie. Yeah,
this whole album is great. This is a great album, man. So many good stuff on it.
I was wondering if you guys would have picked something out of the box, but I mean, I think if you are 9 Inch Nails, you got to do with kind of like what got you there, which I think is Head Like a Hole. I think would definitely be song number 1. And then, then if you're going to pick something obscure. Oh God, I don't know what I would go with. And then like you usually go like a couple of like the song that got you there, your big song, you go with another big hit, and then you can kind of like mix up that third one. That's why like I loved the Cure's choice for of Dog Shake Dog.
You also got to go closer too.
Closer's great.
Yeah.
Such a good song. And I don't think there's anything, when you say got you there, that's the thing is like, once you've been experienced to this band, you let Trent just do what Trent does.
And that's about identifiable songs.
No, I know what you're saying, but I'm just saying that's one thing that's cool about this band. Their soundtracks are amazing. Like they did the Social Network movie. They've done 3 or 4. Yeah, they've done 3 or 4 different film soundtracks, and those are really cool too. I want to get a bunch of those on a vinyl as well. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like this. It's once in a while there'll be a guy that just encompasses what a true artist is and a dark artist, and talk about somebody just pulls from everything. And then as far as sounding fresh and different. I mean, this guy, and that's the thing is I don't mind this. Like when I was talking about electronics and stuff, it's like just because he makes that sound like 3 guys playing guitar, like it's what he does with the electronica is amazing. Like it has such a hard rock sound. It sounds punk rock. Like it sounds like you're in a mosh pit. It's a whole different sound than other electronic that's coming out now. But I mean, because I'm a big fan of like Kraftwerk and some of that early stuff.
Oh, yeah, really?
So
Wow.
just so to see that and then kind of transform it to something like this is just so cool. But yeah, I love Trent Reznor a lot. Nine Inch
And who
Nails is
else
so
loved him
badass.
a lot was Bowie. Bowie, in fact, did a whole
Yeah.
Like, I think Adam, was that
Yeah.
Earthling with Little Wonder? Yeah, I think that was the Earthling.
Well, what
And
was
the-
really
and-
cool is Iggy Pop inducted him, and I think that's the coolest. He's sitting there, he's got no shirt on. He's freaking, how old is he? 107. He's got no shirt on. He's got a leather jacket. His tits are out, and he's like, I mean, there's nobody cool in Iggy Pop, and he's like inducting him into the whole thing. He can barely talk. It's fantastic. It's like, so yeah, definitely check that out. I think it's on HBO right now. But cool, man.
Wow. I was wondering how they were going to do that. But if they were going to play live. I know I saw like a bit of it, and they were. I forgot who they were talking.
It was just footage. I think they were all just footage. I don't think anybody played live. I mean, I didn't see the last part, which was Depeche, but I believe up until then nobody played live. Like the Doobie Brothers thing.
They're not going to do that.
The Doobie Brothers thing was amazing. I didn't realize their journey and stuff, and that was really cool. So yeah, they just did like a little little documentary pieces and showed footage from concerts. It was cool, man. You should check it out. It's definitely cool.
I'm definitely going to check out. Was there an acceptance speech by these bands?
Yeah. Everybody did this through Zoom. They accepted everything. They had their trophies and everything, or award thing, whatever that is. I don't know.
Was Michael McDonald with the Doobie Brothers? Yeah.
He did a thing. He was. I kind of
nice.
I like before him, but he
I think my favorite song of Doobie Brothers without him too. I love Long Train Running.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorites.
No, they're good. They're definitely good. Yeah, they're a great band. But so definitely check that out. All right, man. Talking music, baby. We got any new stuff coming up? I'm pretty excited about AC/DC. November 13th.
This week.
November 13th, AC/DC coming out. Brand new album. I got pre-orders out available, I think now. You can get it. But I'm very excited about that. Because the single was great. Shot in the Dark is fantastic.
Is it today? Oh, no, tomorrow I think it's released.
I think it's released the day? November 13th.
Today is the 9th. Oh, so okay. Friday. It used to be Tuesday that they would release albums.
November 13th. Yeah, because I just looked it up because I was wanting to get it. So
yeah, I saw an ad for it in the Sunday paper, like one of the stores that's selling like the vinyl and the CD.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go on the road. So this weekend, I'm going to Columbus. So I'm going to hit a Walmart because I think they have a contract with Walmart.
Columbus, Ohio?
Yeah, that's where I'm at this weekend. But I'm going to go. One of my goals is get to a Walmart so I can get the new AC/DC album because I know they'll have it. They carry like 4 things: Kid Rock, AC/DC, Garth Brooks. Actually, maybe not Garth anymore because he went Democratic. But they carry like 4 bands all the time, and that's one of them.
Well, it's so funny that you brought him up because there were two acts that I was thinking about doing for next week. One of them was Garth Brooks, and the other one is Run DMC. What do you guys want to talk about? Yeah,
you okay? Whatever you want to do, man. I could do either one. I opened for not Run but DMC.
Well, let's talk about Run DMC next week, and maybe you can tell us a story of a DMC story.
Sure, absolutely.
All right, sounds good.
All right, man. Good talking. Thanks for stepping in, always. Adam. And, it's like it always adds a little element. And what do you got behind there? Nice woodwork you got there.
Yeah, I gotta kind of dress that up back there.
I know. I gotta come in and like Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, you guys, rock and roll style. Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching us, and keep rocking, baby. Bye, vinyl. Keep rock alive.